Jasmine Bryant took the whistling kettle off the stove and poured hot water over powdered cocoa and tiny marshmallows. She held the mug under her nose and breathed deeply. It was Christmas again. Another Christmas without Kobe. It was starting to feel normal somehow. Normal felt wrong without her husband there. She took her oversized mug of steaming hot chocolate and walked up the stairs of their Orange County mansion. The children, Tiana, Aisha, and Kobe Jr., were nestled all snug in their beds. She quietly checked on them and closed each door.
Mama?
Yes, Kobe Jr.? She pulled the door back open, and a sliver of light from the hall cast a dramatic spotlight over little Kobe Jr.'s face.
Mama, can you please put my sword in the toy box?
A tiny 18th century rapier glinted in the dim light. Where did you get that? Jasmine stormed into the room and took the tiny sword from her son. She ran a thumb lightly over the edge of the blade and could feel it was sharp, not something appropriate for a 4-year-old, despite the size.
I got it from one of the little men in the basement.
How many times have I told you not to make up stories?
But Mama, I'm not. He's a little tiny man with a fancy suit and a cape. And he's littler than me. And he's got a wig. And
Young man, I'm tired of these lies. The next time you say something about a little fancy man, or a bad baby clown, or a tiny drunk lady in our house, you are going to be grounded. You hear me, mister?
But Mama!
But nothing. Kobe Ulysses Bryant Jr., if I hear one more story about tiny people who hide in our basement, I will take away your iPad for a week. She shut the door, turned, then paused and squinted before turning back around. She opened the door and went into the room. She held her little son tight and kissed his head. I know you miss your daddy. We all do. I would give anything just to see his face one more time, to hear his voice. But we have to hold on to that memory, not make up silly stories about Daddy's tiny imaginary friends. She kissed his forehead and pulled the comforter up to his chin.
Mama, is tomorrow Christmas?
No, child, tomorrow is Christmas Eve. Santa comes tomorrow night.
Could you leave my door open in case Santa comes early this year?
Sure. But I don't want to hear you creeping around the house after bedtime.
I don't do that, Mama.
Okay, baby. She headed back downstairs with her mug of hot cocoa in one hand and the tiny sword in the other. Where in the world did this come from, she wondered, as she looked it over. It wasn't a toy. The blade was sharp, and the guard was gold and silver with ornate engravings and small jewels set in the palm. It must have been something her late husband picked up during his childhood in Europe. She carried it down to the basement, set it on top of a stack of storage containers labeled Kobe stuff. She looked around the half-finished basement, boxes and unused Christmas decorations strewn about the space. From the day they bought this mansion, they had planned to turn the basement into a family. They finally started a few months before her husband's tragic death. Now it sat frozen in time like a monument to a life cut short, and a family left without a father. She sipped her cocoa, took one last look, and turned out the light.
Is she gone?
Let's hope so, dumbass, since you're talking out loud.
Calm down, you two. Can somebody turn on the light? Yeah, we got it.
When Kobe Bryant died suddenly in 2019, he took a secret with him. A secret nobody would have believed him if he had tried to speak on it. A very big secret, or rather, 7 very little secrets. The Punies by Kobe Bryant. The basement lights flickered back on, revealing those 7 little secrets, each of them approximately 2.5 feet tall. There was Hollywood legend James Dean, pulling a long garland from a tipped-over cardboard box. Untangling a string of colorful lights was John Belushi. A tiny version of Amy Winehouse was sorting through a box filled with little airplane bottles of liquor. A miniature Joker sat cross-legged on a pillow, threading popcorn onto a length of dental floss, as a little Sean Astin hung ornaments on a tiny Christmas tree. At the light switch was a minuscule Notorious B.I.G. sitting atop the shoulders of a scaled-down version of the Scarlet Pimpernel.
Biggie, can you see my sword up there?
Sorry, Pimp. It's 4 boxes high.
Joker, could you perhaps climb atop Biggie and retrieve my blade?
No, you can just climb a rope or something. I'm out.
Zoot!
I don't understand why we have to hide from everyone. This is our house, too.
Because Dad told us it's a big world and we're the Punies.
I don't understand why you keep calling him Dad.
Because he was our dad.
Kobe Bryant was not John Belushi's father.
Yes, he was. He created us.
Really, Sean Astin, you remember being created?
Of course not, Joker, but he taught us about the world and where we came from.
I still want to go outside and be part of the world.
And I crave adventure.
I'm fine right here. You all seem to forget what happened to all us out there.
At Dad's funeral?
The Punies had ventured outside of the house to attend Kobe Bryant's funeral. Not that anyone would have noticed, unless you were looking for 7 tiny figures in trench coats and hats huddled together in the rain, watching from a distance.
I had a bunch of cough drops in my pocket, and they got all sticky in the rain.
Not us, dipshit. The original versions.
Yeah, we all died.
We all died young. Sean Astin didn't.
Yes, I did.
I'm pretty sure Sean Astin didn't die at all. I saw him in something not too long ago.
You're probably thinking of when we staged our own production of Annie Get Your Gun last summer.
Who could forget? I could.
When you sang, I'm a bad, bad man, it brought down the house. Thank you.
Yes, we all remember Sean's tour de force performance as Frank Butler in last year's Punies Basement Follies. Come on, everyone, let's finish putting up these Christmas decorations. Hey, what should we do with the Advent calendar?
It feels strange. This is the first Christmas we've had without an advent calendar.
The Advent calendar was a beloved tradition for the Punies. Kobe himself had lovingly crafted it. It was a large wooden box made of tiny drawers, 6 wide and 4 tall, each with a tiny golden handle and an ornate gold number. Last Christmas they were surprised to learn he had already filled the calendar with new gifts before his passing. A bittersweet discovery they cherished each day.
Alas.
Hey, there's something rolling around in here. What, in the Advent calendar? Yeah, there's something in one of these drawers.
The Punies all gathered around, confused and apprehensive as little John Belushi slowly opened each drawer and closed it, looking for the source of the rattling sound.
There it is.
What is it?
It's a golden flute.
That's no flute. Flute's got holes.
It's a whistle.
That's it? A golden whistle?
Maybe there was more of them. Did somebody not get a present last year on December 10th?
The Punies all thought for it. None of them could recall what the gift contained in the 9th drawer had been last year.
Sacre bleu!
What is the Scarlet Pimpernel?
Le 10 décembre. Don't you see? We were all, none of us here.
It might be difficult to believe now, but for many years there was an incredible amount of excitement surrounding a video game called Cyberpunk 2077. That excitement reached its apex on December 9th, 2020, the day before its release, and the deluge of complaints, negative reviews, lawsuits, and hilarious podcast Christmas specials that followed. Had it not been for the sheer volume of press surrounding the game's penis-revealing glitches, someone might have wondered about the identity of 7 tiny figures in trench coats and fedoras who waited outside a Los Angeles GameStop all night in the rain, waiting to purchase their very own copy of the hotly anticipated game.
I had a whole roll of stamps in my pocket that got ruined that night.
Wait, that's why? We forgot to open the 10th day because we were waiting for the Cyberpunk release?
Jeez, that's embarrassing. Why is the gift just one gold whistle? How are we supposed to share it?
Well, there are 7 of us, so I propose we each take 1 day with the whistle. I'll take it on Saturdays, James Dean can have it on Sundays, the Joker can have Mondays with the whistle.
Without warning, little Amy Winehouse picked up the whistle and blew it. Its sound was shrill and piercing, like the sound of an old camera flash charging, but 100 times louder. The Punies all clapped their hands over their ears, but the vibration seemed to harmonize with the natural frequency of every object in the room, including their skulls. It felt like the room was going to shake apart. And then suddenly, the bookcase opened. The 30-inch tall versions of James Dean, Biggie Smalls, Amy Winehouse, John Belushi, the Scarlet Pimpernel, the Joker, and Sean Astin slowly crept down the dark staircase that was revealed behind the old bookcase when Amy Winehouse blew the mysterious golden whistle. A dim green light glowed from somewhere below. When they reached the bottom, they were stunned to see the face of their ersatz father, Kobe Bryant. Not as they remembered him, but 30 feet tall and glowing green. Just a huge green head of Kobe Bryant contained inside a transparent tube that sat atop a pedestal and reached to the ceiling.
Wow, just like Zordon.
He did look just like Zordon. It was pretty obvious that's what they were going for, whoever did this.
My Punies, greetings. Oh, there you are. I was beginning to worry I would never see you.
Kobe, is that you?
Yes and no. Why don't we let the real Kobe explain?
The Punies stood in nervous anticipation for what felt like an eternity, expecting their beloved Kobe to somehow be resurrected from the dead.
That's weird. We had this whole thing rehearsed. You'd discover me, I'd make a big first impression, and then hand the presentation off to him. Where is Kobe?
After a long silence, little John Belushi stepped forward.
Well, he died.
What? When?
Almost 2 years ago, just after Christmas.
Jesus, that's tragic.
Then we didn't find out about it this last Christmas because we were all waiting in line for the release of Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh wow, it finally came out? How is it?
It was just, amazing. Right, everyone?
Yeah!
Uh-huh.
Well, at least there's some good news. I suppose I ought to explain why I'm here.
Did you upload your consciousness into a supercomputer?
Yeah, you got it. First guess, damn, I guess it's pretty apparent, huh?
Yeah, that was really the only explanation I could think of, too.
Okay, sorry. Well, with that out of the way, the reason why I did this.
To guide and protect us after you died?
Alright, yeah, I suppose the whole thing is obvious. Forget it. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, what's our origin story? Belushi keeps calling you Dad!
I am the closest thing any of you have to a father. But in truth, you are not natural.
What?
The giant Zordon-style head of Kobe Bryant explained everything to the Punies. They were created in a laboratory to be the dopest entourage in history, but the technology just wasn't there yet. They were perfect in theory. No one could have predicted they would turn out so puny. As time advanced, the technology became more precise. By the mid-2000s, LeBron James was able to get a full-size Kurt Cobain. Small or not, though, Kobe loved the Punies like they were his own children.
I still don't understand why you kept us a secret.
Well, as it turns out, you weren't alone. There are others.
You mean other Punies?
No. You are the only Punies. You're my special little friends and I love you dearly. Your hearts are pure and you're the only ones like you in the world. But it's time you learned about the Teenies.
The Teenies?
That's right. As good and kind as you are, the Teenies are just as rotten and evil. I wanted to protect you from them, but as I grew older, I realized I wouldn't always be around. I had to train you to defeat the Teenies. I thought I'd have more time, though. For goodness sake, we've already lost a year. Our training will begin tomorrow.
Are you guys believing this?
I assure you, this is no joke. Vicky, you believe me, don't you?
I mean, it just sounds so crazy.
It is crazy!
Amy Winehouse, please listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah, listen, there's an evil version of us that Ghost Dad here wants us to spend our whole Christmas Eve training for some kind of battle between good and evil.
I'm sorry, Kobe. We're the Punies, after all. What good would we even be in a fight?
Amy, don't listen to them. I believe you, Kobe. Wherever you need me, I'll be there. Just say the word.
Thank you, Sean Astin. Just as plucky as you were in all those movies.
James Dean, will you join me?
Are you serious? James, you're not seriously buying this bullshit, are you?
Kobe,
Yes, there's the rebel without a cause. Suck it, Rudy!
What about you, Scarlet Pimpernel? Don't you believe in sticking up for the little guy?
He already went back upstairs, Kobe.
Yeah, also, Kobe, did you actually ever read The Scarlet Pimpernel?
Punies, you must listen. There isn't much time.
Slowly, the Punies made their way back upstairs, one by one as the giant Zordon version of Kobe Bryant pleaded with them. Little Sean Astin was the last to leave, wiping the tears from his eyes and hiding his face from Kobe as he ran up the stairs in the secret passageway. Little was said amongst the Punies as they brushed their teeth and put on their pajamas that night. Sunlight crept through the small basement windows as little John Belushi awoke. He could smell bacon. He sat bolt upright and popped his head from his cardboard box. Is that bacon? How do we get bacon?
I went upstairs and stole it.
But if you get caught?
It's fine. I get caught all the time. I just lay down and that lady thinks I'm a Bratz doll.
Merry Christmas Eve, you two.
Merry Christmas Eve, James Dean.
Amy got bacon. The Punies slowly awoke and enjoyed their breakfast, discussing their plans for the day. The Scarlet Pimpernel was going to put together a jigsaw puzzle. Joker was thinking about making some cookies in the easy bake oven he found in storage. Amy and Biggie planned on spending the whole day watching the Christmas Story marathon. James Dean was going to wrap some presents, then maybe read a book. Even Sean Astin was planning to practice singing Christmas carols. The whole thing, with the secret passage and the Kobe Zordon, felt like the foggy memory of a strange dream. They excused themselves from the breakfast table and headed off to their respective activities, but were interrupted only minutes later.
Guys, can you come here, please?
What is it, Amy?
Mon Dieu!
They stood in stunned silence watching the television. The Christmas Story marathon wasn't on. Instead, it was a breaking news story. This can't be real, right? This is some kind of joke.
If it's a joke, they're playing it the same joke on every channel.
How is this even possible?
Two news anchors were speaking in fumbling, bewildered sentences as though they were at a loss for words, but scrolling across the bottom of the screen was the news in plain, concise language. Santa Claus kidnapped!
Not much is known at this time. However, the FBI has confirmed that this is not a hoax. To make matters worse, the terrorist organization behind the plot to kidnap Santa Claus seems to have been behind the recent disappearance of hundreds of Santa impersonators, making it all the more difficult for authorities to track down the real Santa Claus. Christmas Vacation co-star Randy Quaid has also gone missing, although it is unclear if his disappearance had anything to do with his Santa-like appearance or if it was just because he's crazy.
How could this even happen? Who could have done something like this?
Well, Brent, as I said, little is known at this time, but early reports indicate that this is the work of a terrorist organization calling themselves the Teenies.
A shrill, piercing tone let out as Sean Astin blew on the golden whistle. The Punies stood before the glowing head of Kobe Bryant, humbled but with a newfound purpose and resolve.
Punies, let me say first of all, I knew you would rise to the occasion. You continue to make me proud. Thank you for putting aside your differences and coming together.
We may be different in some ways, but you know what we all have in common?
What's that?
We're all Punies.
Hooray!
Very good. Now listen closely, my Punies. The Teenies are not to be trifled with. These are some of the most vile, despicable people to ever be brought back in miniature form. There's Adolf Hitler, Jack the Ripper, Manuel Noriega, Lizzie Borden, Charles Darwin, Jigsaw, and the leader of the Teenies, Bing Crosby. Word has it, they've taken over the Staples Center and are using it as a base of operations. Since Jigsaw is involved, you can be fairly certain there's going to be booby traps.
Excuse me, Kobe. I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but why us? If the authorities are aware of all this, why do they need miniature versions of 6 of the coolest people in history? 7.
SWAT, Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, they've all been hired to breach the Teenies' defenses and failed. It's simply easier to train the Punies to be assassins than it is to train assassins to be Punies. From now on, we will refer to each other by special code names I made up. You will refer to me as Black Mamba. Biggie, you'll be Black Mamba number 2. James Dean, you're Black Mamba number 3. Joker, you're Black Mamba number 4. Amy Winehouse is Black Mamba number 5. John Belushi is Black Mamba number 6. Sean Astin will be Black Mamba number 7. And Scarlet Pimpernel, you'll be Black Mamba number 8. Once you've made it past Jigsaw's traps, we have no idea what to expect. Nothing beyond the knowledge that whatever is going on in there, it's the work of some of the most twisted minds of all time. Oh, and Punies, you'll be needing new uniforms for this mission.
The wall beside them opened to reveal 7 trench coats and 7 hats, but these ones were all black.
Good luck, Punies.
The Staples Center was completely dark. Normally its steel and glass would be lit up like a glowing monument to Los Angeles basketball. Now it looked more like a black obsidian monolith of pure evil, a fitting lair for the Teenies. Dozens of police cars, SWAT vans, and military vehicles surrounded the building. The streets were barricaded, and a large tent had been set up as a temporary base of operations. A man in a disheveled gray suit stood behind the tent, smoking a cigarette. A faint buzzing noise in the distance caught his attention, and he looked up to see a cluster of lights on the horizon, slowly moving toward him. He patted his chest, making sure he had his service with him. He didn't know what the hell was headed this way. He knew it was best to keep a cool head, but the way this day was going, it seemed best to be prepared for the worst. The lights grew brighter and the buzzing sound got louder until finally he could make out the silhouette of a group of bikers still in the distance. He reached for his radio to alert security forces, but the bikers were already in front. They hadn't been as far away as he had thought. They were just very small. 7 little bikers dressed in black trench coats were dismounting tiny motorcycles and approaching.
This is a restricted area. Can I help you?
Yeah, we've been sent here to help. Are you the person in charge?
Special Agent Darius Wickman, Department of Homeland Security, Counterterrorism Operations Division. And you are?
Little James Dean, the Punies.
James Dean and the rest of the Punies took off their little black fedoras and revealed their famous faces to Agent Wickman. He stood frozen in disbelief as the cigarette fell from his mouth. Inside the tent, he debriefed the Punies in front of a large white room.
So far, here's all we know. A terrorist organization calling themselves the Teenies has taken over the Staples Center, and they claim to be holding Santa Claus hostage somewhere inside. All attempts to breach the building have failed. The whole place is booby-trapped beyond anything we've ever seen before.
Jigsaw.
Excuse me?
It's Jigsaw from Saw, or a tiny version of him like us.
Makes sense. We have no way of getting in there, and we're all out of ideas. If you want to take a shot at it, be my guest, but you should know it's a suicide mission.
Death is one thing we're all familiar with, sir.
Well, good luck then, and Godspeed.
The Punies moved swiftly in formation through the concrete barricades set up around the Staples Center. James Dean signaled to the Punies. The north entrance, about 30 yards away, was littered with chunks of concrete and smoldering debris.
Looks like one of Jigsaw's booby traps went off.
Exactly. Let's take a look.
The Punies crept silently toward the destruction. As they got nearer, they could make out the bodies of several SWAT officers lying on the concrete. The notorious B.I.G. moved toward one of the fallen men to check for signs of life. He turned the man over onto his back, and his blood ran cold. It was the face of Jigsaw's creepy puppet.
It's a trap! Everybody get back!
The Punies barely had time to turn before the dummy exploded, sending their tiny bodies flying through the air. They lay on the ground dazed, ears ringing. After a moment, they struggled to their feet and checked to make sure everyone was okay.
Okay, we know the booby traps are trickier than we expected. What do we do now?
Maybe there's a chimney we can climb down.
A chimney on the Staples Center?
I don't know, it's just an idea.
Listen, if we want to get into this building, we're going to need to think like Jigsaw.
Meaning what exactly? We have to kill people?
No, we have to get inside his head. Jigsaw has rules.
So we find a way to break the rules.
No! Jigsaw hates cheaters. We have to play his game. Going through the main entrance is going to be suicide. He wants us to try and figure out the logic.
Was that the point of those movies?
There was no point. But it's safe to say that he needs things to progress in a certain way for his ironic surprises to work. So he's going to punish anyone who tries to force their way in. On the other hand, attempts to be sneaky will probably be even more dangerous.
So you want us to take the more dangerous way?
What are the other ways we can get into the building?
The fire exit.
The air ducts.
The sewer! Okay, let's check the fire exit first.
The Punies made their way around the side of the building until they came to a sturdy metal double door with no handles. The Joker pulled a comically long crowbar from his trench coat and jammed it in the door frame.
Help me get some leverage on this, will you?
They grabbed the crowbar and pulled with their combined weight until they heard the metal groan and crack. They gave one final tug and the door sprang open, sending the Punies tumbling back. John Belushi leapt to his feet and ran to the doorway, peering into the darkness. It's completely open! Come on, everybody!
Belushi, wait!
The Joker took his crowbar and threw it down the darkened corridor, but there was no clattering of metal against concrete. Instead, there was a loud sploosh, as if it fell into a deep well, followed by a roaring water like a giant toilet had flushed. The shiny floor of the corridor churned, then sank out of sight, echoing down for what sounded like hundreds of feet.
Okay, so the fire exit's not an option. Let's check the air ducts.
On the roof of the arena, the Joker carefully unscrewed a large metal grate attached to a vent. This time, no one rushed to see if it was safe. The Joker nonchalantly tossed his screwdriver down the vent, and a moment later, a roaring jet of flame burst from the duct.
Okie dokie. Moving on to the sewers.
In the middle of the street, the Joker slid the manhole cover to the side. The rest of the Punies took a step back.
I need you all to step about 15 feet to the left, please.
The Punies obediently shuffled to one side, anxiously awaiting what came next. The Joker produced a toy mouse from his pocket, wound it up, and tossed it into the sewer. Nothing happened. The Joker held a finger in the air as if to say, "Just wait." Moments later, the street between the manhole and the Staples Center collapsed, caving in on the sewer.
How did you know that would happen?
I told you, Jigsaw loves rules. What rule is this? Tell me, what kind of booby trap did he have at the fire exit?
The floor was actually water.
Very good. And what was the trap in the air duct?
It was fire.
Now, who can see the pattern?
Elements. The fire exit was water. Water beats fire. The air duct was fire. Fire beats air.
And the sewer?
The sewer was earth.
That's right. That's right. So that means there's another entrance we didn't think of. An earth entrance.
What could the earth entrance be?
There's a secret tunnel between the Staples Center and the Microsoft Theater. It's how celebrities get out after their concerts.
And there you have it. James Dean, tell the firemen we're going to need to borrow 7 air tanks and breathing masks. Size extra small. We're going to the Microsoft Theater.
The Punies stepped warily into the tunnel beneath the Microsoft Theater. It was eerily calm. Joker led them on slowly. It seemed like nothing was happening.
Did anybody else's ears just pop?
Yeah, like a few seconds ago.
Mine feel like they need to.
My ears hurt. Here, I have some gum in my jacket.
Don't take off your mask! They're sucking the air out of the tunnel.
It feels like my head is going to explode.
Run! We have to get out of here!
The Punies sprinted for the end of the tunnel, screaming and holding their ears. Their masks began to fog up, and they ran blindly down the dim hallway at full speed. John Belushi collided face first with the door, shattering the plastic breathing mask on his face as he tumbled through the door.
Belushi, it's fine! We made it!
Oh, cool. Now what?
To the stairwell. We're gonna need a better vantage point.
The Punies looked out over the arena from the private luxury suite.
Sacre bleu! This Staples Center, she has been converted into an open-air Santa prison!
The basketball court was surrounded by chain-link fencing topped with razor wire. Inside were hundreds of fat old men in identical red suits and white beards, all shuffling around in a daze and tripping over one another. Mid-court on either side stood Charles Darwin and Manuel Noriega, armed with rifles, watching guard from the premier level seats.
How are we supposed to find the real Santa in that crowd? It's like finding a saint in a Nick stack.
The teenies sure made it tough to find the real Santa, didn't they?
That gives me an idea. What if we don't need to find the real Santa?
What do you mean?
What they didn't mean to do was make it so easy to find a fake Santa. Biggie Smalls, John Belushi, you take Amy Winehouse and head for the announcer's booth. Let me know when you're in position. Scarlet Pimpernel and Joker, head for the premier seating. Wait for my signal to take out those guards. James Dean, get down to the court and be ready.
Minutes later, everyone was in place.
Alpha Team, go!
Suddenly, Amy Winehouse's unmistakable voice came over the arena's loudspeakers.
Attention all Santas. Please head to the end of the cage opposite the gate to receive your paychecks. Again, all Santas looking to receive a paycheck should proceed to the far end of the cage. Thank you.
Charles Darwin and Manuel Noriega looked up, confused at the unscheduled announcement.
Bravo, team, go!
The Scarlet Pimpernel and the Joker swept in behind the guards and knocked them out with a blow to the back of the head.
Charlie, team, go now!
The Santa impersonators, having heard the announcement, all began to shuffle away from the gate. As they pushed and shoved their way around each other, trying to be first in line for payment, a single figure quietly backed away from the crowd. The real Santa Claus would never think of accepting a paycheck for his work.
Psst, Santa, over here.
Oh my goodness! You're one of Kobe Bryant's Punies!
Yeah, we're here to rescue you. Sean Astin and the rest of us are up in the stands. We need to get out of here.
Sean Astin?
Yeah, I know he doesn't seem like he fits in with the crew, but his plan worked perfectly. I can't believe it.
Just then, every light in the stadium went out with an echoing clunk. James Dean grabbed Santa's hand and froze. Music began to play over the loudspeakers. Spotlights and lasers swirled around the arena.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and get on your feet. Let me hear you make some noise for Kobe Bryant's Punies. At 2'6", from London, England, Amy Winehouse. At 2'6", hailing from Brooklyn, New York, the notorious B.I.G. At 2'6", hailing from Gotham City, the Clown Prince of Crime, the Joker. At 2'6" from Calais, France, the Scarlet Pimpernel. At 2'6" from Chicago, Illinois, John Belushi. And measuring in at 2'6" from Fairmount, Indiana, James Dean.
The spotlight stopped their manic spinning and focused on James Dean, holding hands with Santa Claus. In the darkness ahead of him, he could hear something. Into the light stepped a tiny Bing Crosby, clapping his hands slowly.
Well, looks like this plan worked out better than expected. Bing Crosby, you bastard! What have you done? Looks like I've been cleaning up your messes.
Bing Crosby snapped his fingers, and Biggie, the Scarlet Pimpernel, Amy Winehouse, the Joker, and John Belushi stumbled into the spotlight with their hands tied behind their backs. A tiny Jigsaw, Lizzie Borden, and Jack the Ripper stood behind them with miniature machine guns trained at their backs. Manuel Noriega and Charles Darwin stepped forward to flank Bing Crosby, each of them holding a little bag of ice to their tiny heads.
Why? Why ruin Christmas? Who said anything about ruining Christmas?
Teenies, Punies, please!
You spent your entire lives being nice. You take it for granted how much Santa loves you. But what if you were naughty? How far would you be willing to go to get your name on the nice list?
That's it? That's your plan? You thought you could kidnap Santa and he would just put you on the nice list? Not exactly. Have you ever heard of the Santa Claus? The Tim Allen movie? The law the movie was based on, but yeah. Do you remember what the law states? In putting on the suit and entering the sleigh, the wearer waives any and all rights to any previous identity, real or implied, and fully accepts the duties and responsibilities of Santa Claus in perpetuity, until such time that the wearer becomes unable to do so.
By either accident or design. Oh my God, why did that have to be part of the law?
That's right, folks. All we have to do is keep Santa from delivering all his presents before midnight, and he'll be deemed unfit for duty, and the title of Santa Claus will be ours for the taking.
Then we make the rules.
That's it? You're just gonna change what's naughty and what's nice?
James Dean, I don't think you understand the economic consequences of a reversal of naughty v nice.
You see, Santa's annual toy budget is based on current population statistics.
We have to do it that way. There has to be enough for everyone to get a present if they're good that year.
That's right, and 99% of those folks get presents every year. But there's always a few bad apples who don't make the cut. So Santa keeps the excess for himself, right?
No! The total budget of each year gets evenly distributed across each person on the nice list.
Wait a minute. So if you reverse who's naughty and who's nice, ho ho ho.
The entire world's Christmas budget goes to the 1% of the population that was formerly naughty.
No! Oh, and it doesn't end there. All these years, we bad little boys and girls have been getting coal. We started to like the stuff.
No!
Oh, I'm afraid so, my jolly friend. You see, there's usually so few naughties. Santa can't possibly budget coal the same way he does presents.
You son of a bitch! Do you have any idea what you'll be doing?
Every year, Santa has to purchase exactly 1 pound of coal per bad little boy and girl. Now, I don't have a calculator handy, but once the nicest become naughties, that works out to
4 million short tons of coal!
And like I said, me and the rest of the teenies started to appreciate all that coal you gave us every Christmas. We thought, how can we make that feeling last all year long?
So we bought stock in all the coal companies.
Teenies, please, you don't have to do this!
We know, Santa, we know. But try to look at it from our perspective. Why wouldn't we want to do this?
Mr. Crosby, sir.
Yes, Jack the Ripper, what is it? Can't you see I'm monologuing here?
It's Adolf Hitler, sir. He's not responding to the radio.
Adolf Hitler?
Looks like your buddy Hitler was no match for the Punies' own plucky underdog, Sean Astin. Sean, if you can hear my voice, it's time to spring into action. Get the drop on these teeny sons of bitches and save Christmas!
Instead of some thrilling ambush, there was only silence. Both the Punies and the Teenies, along with Santa Claus, gazed around the darkened Staples Center.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, you keep saying Sean Astin? Like the little guy who played Samwise Gamgee?
Before anyone had time to answer, the arena lit up as every video screen turned on. There on the Jumbotron was Sean Astin.
Hey guys! Hey, sorry I'm not there. I had a once-in-a-lifetime business opportunity come up, and I had to bail on the plan to save Christmas.
That's Sean Astin from the Goonies!
You mean the Punies?
Wasn't he an Encino man?
Was he really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was.
Hey guys! I just wanted to say I'm sorry and I hope you understand.
Sean Astin, what are you doing?
Oh, see, I'm at the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. They offered to buy the Punies, so I'm selling you to the museum.
What did you do to Adolf Hitler?
Oh, he's here with me.
What?
Guten Tag!
Yeah, we met up and I told him about the Ripley's deal, and he suggested we go into business together and sell the teenies too. Oh, Hitler, how could you?
Sorry.
We called Ripley's and told them we had the Punies, the Teenies, and Santa Claus, and they offered us $4 billion. As of close of business this evening, you all belong to Ripley Entertainment Incorporated.
Sean Astin, why would you sell yourself into slavery?
Oh, that's an excellent question. To put it simply, I'm not.
That's Sean Astin! He's not one of the Punies!
Yes, he is. I've known him my whole life.
That's just the actor Sean Astin! He's still alive!
Oh, yeah, he was on Stranger Things.
I knew it!
Back in 2002, I got a call from my agent saying Kobe Bryant wanted me to join his entourage. I showed up, and he got so excited, he kept talking about how he was the real Lord of the Rings. He took me down to the basement. By the time I figured out what was going on, I decided to just roll with it. I get to live rent-free in Kobe Bryant's house with history's coolest dudes.
Yeah, but the Punies are all 2.5 feet tall.
Sean Astin is a small guy, but not that small.
It's called forced perspective. I learned it from Peter Jackson on the set of Lord of the Rings. Anytime you saw me standing next to another one of the Punies, I was actually standing several feet behind them to appear the same size.
But Adolf, why would you agree to this?
He's not a teeny either.
What?
You see,
Sorry.
You see, in 1895, Alexander Graham Bell, in conjunction with the British government, developed a system to electronically preserve the essence of significant individuals. The person's spirit, if you will, would be captured and sent as electronic impulses through copper wires. To cover up the massive cost of infrastructure of such a project, the telephone system was created. Hitler stole those plans and in 1945 escaped his bodily form into the telephone network. In the early 2000s, Hitler attempted to blackmail a telecommunications expert named John Klein into uploading his consciousness into a top-secret orbital weapon known as Punies 2.
I remember they made a movie about that.
Yeah, it was a pretty great movie. Unfortunately, the real-life version didn't have such a happy ending. Hitler's electronic signature was able to transfer at the last second into the lab equipment used to create you all. The 7th pods were supposed to contain a puny version of Shannon Hoon from the band Blind Melon and a teeny version of baseball's greatest monster, Pete Rose. Hitler's spirit overloaded the machine, taking over the body of Pete Rose and reducing Shannon Hoon to 3 gallons of pink slime.
Gross!
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Tomorrow morning, you'll all belong to the world's largest edutainment holding company, and Christmas will be canceled.
Except for us.
Oh yeah, Merry Christmas, Hitler.
Merry Christmas, Sean Astin. You'll never get away with this. Sure we will.
Now, if you'll excuse me, we need to go over some paperwork. Ciao.
Santa, the Punies, and the Teenies all stood in stunned silence.
Santa Claus, what are we going to do?
Christmas stands on the brink of destruction. None can escape it. You will unite or you will fall. Ripley's Believe It or Not must be destroyed.
One does not simply walk into Gatlinburg. The Great Smoky Mountains are guarded by more than just bears. There is evil there that does not sleep, and the great eye of Dolly Parton is ever watchful. It is a barren wasteland riddled with rock candy and fool's gold, while the very air you breathe is a poisonous go-kart exhaust. You couldn't do it even if you had 7,000 punies.
Have you been listening to anything in the last 10 minutes? We have to destroy Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Do you not understand that while we stand here bickering, Sean Astin and Hitler grow closer to signing that paperwork?
Aldo, let me do this.
Then I will help you bear this burden, Joker, as long as it is yours to bear.
If by my life or my death, if I can help you, I will.
You'll have my sword.
And my axe.
Fine. If it's the will of Santa Claus that we should all die in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, then I shall see it done.
Why are you talking like that?
Hey, hold on, you're not going anywhere without me.
Randy Quaid!
Yeah, I got rounded up with all these Santas. I heard you talking about taking down Ripley's Believe It or Not, and I want in. I happen to know for a fact that Ripley's was created as part of Project MK Ultra, designed to blur the lines of reality and fantasy and make Americans more docile and susceptible to misinformation. Then it's decided. Let's away to Gatlinburg.
Santa's sleigh touched down in the middle of Gatlinburg, Tennessee. The Ripley's Believe It or Not museum loomed large over the street like a hellish mass of lumber and bears doing outdoor activities. Words could not describe just how fucked up and creepy the museum looked. You should do an image search. Santa tossed a pair of walkie-talkies to the Punies and the Teenies.
Randy Quaid, pretend the Teenies are your children, buy them tickets to the museum, and do reconnaissance. Keep in touch with us over these walkie-talkies.
The Punies and I will head around to the back of the museum and find a way inside.
10-4, Santa Claus.
Around the back of the museum, Santa and the Punies spotted a loading dock with a dump truck backed up to a large opening. 2 workers were throwing mummies into the dump truck.
I don't understand why we're throwing away all these mummies.
They said something about needing to make room for a big new exhibit.
Yeah, but it seems like a waste to just throw these mummies in the dump, you know?
Relax. None of these are even real mummies. Ripley's Believe It or Not museum just goes around collecting dead homeless people and wraps them up in toilet paper. It's not even a real museum after all.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Huh?
The workers threw the last of the mummies into the back of the dump truck. Well, now it's time to shut this door. Before the Punies even had time to notice he wasn't standing there with them, they spied Santa up on the awning above the loading room. He deftly dropped down with 2 large candy canes in his hands, hooking the 2 dock workers around the necks and knocking their heads together. Their unconscious bodies crumpled to the ground. Santa picked them up and tossed them into the back of the dump truck, called the fake mummies, and then signaled the Punies to follow him. They crept into a dimly lit hallway in the restricted area of the museum, lined with unmarked doors.
Which one of these doors should we go through?
Hang on. Teenies! Come in, teenies! We appear to be in an access hallway somewhere in the restricted area. Do you read? Do you have eyes on Sean Astin and Hitler?
Yes, sir, Santa. There should be a door on your right toward the end of the hall marked Wonderworld. Head through that room to the elevator, and that should take you to the executive level on the top floor.
Santa and the Punies found the door and headed into a dark room. Biggie Smalls jumped up on the Scarlet Pimpernel's shoulders and found the light switch.
Oh, bollocks.
The room was a maze of mirrors. In the warped reflections, they all looked like the real-life counterparts of their miniature selves.
How are we going to get through this?
I know this one. Follow me.
John Belushi put his right hand against the mirrored wall and started walking. He continued walking, always keeping his hand in contact with the walls. As they rounded one turn, they found themselves at a dead end.
Way to go, Belushi. It's a dead end.
No, it isn't. Watch.
John Belushi walked to the end of the corridor, then traced his hand across the back and around back the way he came. At the end, he turned to the right again.
As long as you follow the outside wall of the maze, you'll always eventually come to the solution.
How did you know that?
Back in the 70s, Dan Aykroyd used to hide my cocaine in a giant hedge maze as a prank.
Soon the Punies were on the other side of the room. Sure enough, an elevator was waiting for them. They all climbed inside, and Santa Claus pressed the button for the 5th floor executive suite. With a soft ding, the elevator opened into a large business office with cubicles and glass walls.
Oh, look.
On the other side of the room, in a large executive boardroom, was a sleazy-looking businessman sitting at a large table with Teeny Hitler and Puny Sean Astin. They were going over documents on a laptop.
Oh, no, we have to do something.
Hang on, I've got an idea.
Santa slung his magic sack over his shoulder and marched directly toward the boardroom.
Santa, wait, what are you thinking?
Santa turned and gave his signature wink and shush, then let out a hearty ho, ho, ho. The executive turned and reacted with shock and surprise to see Santa Claus. He bounded into the room, shaking everyone's hands.
What's he doing? I don't know, but we have to trust that he knows what he's doing.
Inside the boardroom, Santa sat down and put his shiny black boots up on the table.
Gentlemen, let's talk business.
Excuse me?
I hear you're in the market for some tiny celebrities. How many would you be interested in?
Sorry, Weihnachtsmann, but we've already made a deal.
What are you saying?
Well, I hear you've offered these two charlatans $4 billion for a dozen miniature stars. I'm just wondering what you'd be willing to pay for unlimited Punies.
Gentlemen, we're kind of in a hurry here. Could we just proceed with the deal?
Hang on, I want to hear him out.
Well, suppose I told you I have the technology to create Punies.
Wait, is this true?
It most certainly is.
Santa reached into his magic sack and produced a series of blueprints outlining a massive computer attached to several large tanks and 7 small pods. He handed them to the executives.
What do you say, gentlemen? Would you like to go into the Punies business?
Nein! This is unacceptable! We had a deal!
The executive considered for a moment, then turned back to Santa.
I'm listening.
How about this? I have here a portable hard drive with the complete schematics. I'd be willing to partner with Ripley's Believe It or Not company for, say, 30% profits on all future Punies ventures.
20.
Hey, hold on a minute.
25.
Deal.
Santa reached into his sack and pulled out a small portable hard drive.
Here you are, sir.
The executive plugged the hard drive into the laptop, and a file transfer initiated automatic.
What is this?
Oh, it just has to install something.
Install what?
The virus!
The laptop screen went all scrambly. Then every monitor in the office began to scramble too. The executives desperately tried to unplug the hard drive, but it was heating up and burned their hands. The USB cord began to glow and fuse to the computer's motherboard. Everything shut down. Every computer, every TV screen, every light in the building was off. Then every screen came back on, all playing a video clip. It was Jonathan Frakes from Beyond Belief Fact or Fiction. It was a montage of him saying, "It's fake.
No way.
We made it
we
up.
Got you.
If you thought this was real, you're wrong."
Not this time. It never happened.
Frakes!
It never happened.
Our
We made
main
this one up.
competitor! I hate that guy!
We made up this
Ho, ho,
We made it
ho,
up.
gentlemen.
Not this time.
Looks like you won't be
Not this
doing any
time.
business
Not this
today.
You're wrong. Not this time. It never happened.
The executive began to chuckle, then laugh. Hitler and Sean Astin joined in. Their laughter grew to a maniacal cackle. A deep rumbling and sudden light came from behind Santa, and he spun on his heel to see the wall behind him opening up to reveal a massive open.
Santa, have you heard about our big new exhibit?
A sign in the middle of the room read, "World's Deepest Pit of Lava." Below it was indeed a pit of lava. Hanging above them was a net containing all the Punies. Standing in the room below, scattered amongst the many statues of famous human oddities, were the Teenies and Randy Quaid.
Well, hello there, Santa Claus. Isn't this a surprise? For you.
Crosby, you son of a bitch! You triple-crossed us!
Well, we had a conversation with the folks at Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum, and we all agreed there's not much value in buying a team of the worst people in history, but we could certainly be useful in delivering you all to them on a silver platter, for a small finder's fee, of course. Santa, help!
Hang on, Biggie Smalls! Randy Quaid, why? I thought you hated Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Yeah, I guess that's true, but I'm also crazy.
Punies! Did Kobe ever tell you where you came from?
No! France? You know you're British in the novel, right?
I created you, Punies, when Kobe Bryant was a rookie in the NBA. Kobe was still but a boy. I knew that being such a huge, cool superstar when he was still so young, it would be hard for him to find true friends. So I created you, the coolest friends anyone could ever ask for. You were my gift to Kobe, and the very living embodiment of Christmas. The people you love who love you too. I know it seems hopeless right now, but we can't give up, because as long as you remain as you are, puny and pure, Kobe can never really die, because he lives on in your hearts.
Wait, so you created us teenies as well?
Yes, Manuel Noriega. I created you too. I am the creator of the Punies, as well as the Teenies. And the Biggies.
The Biggies?
Suddenly, from a dark corner of the room, a statue climbed down off its pedestal. The sign next to it read, Robert Wadlow, history's tallest man. The giant lumbered over and grabbed Bing Crosby by the head, lifting him into the air.
Hey, what the heck?
That's right. All Steph Curry wanted for Christmas was to not be the tallest person in every room.
From around the room, massive human forms emerged from the shadows. Goliath, Xerxes from the movie 300, Billy McGuire and Benny McGuire, the two fat twins on motorcycles, Andre the Giant, and Janet Reno.
All right, I've had enough with this freak show.
The executive pulled a gun and pointed it at Santa Claus.
Are you willing to let Santa die for your stupid little club, Punies?
The Punies aren't a club.
What was that?
I said the Punies aren't a club.
I don't care.
The Punies are family!
The evil Ripley's executive turned his head, distracted for a split second. Santa Claus sprang into action, tackling the executive and knocking the gun from his hand. Santa sat on the executive and punched him over and over until his face was bloody. Then he stood to his feet.
Teenies, it's over. Give up.
You're right, Santa.
The unmistakable click of a gun's hammer being pulled back came from behind Santa. The executive picked up the gun and had it trained directly at Father Christmas.
It's over for you. The Teenies already signed the contract. Dead or alive, I own you.
He fired, and time seemed to slow down. Santa winced, but out of the corner of his eye, he saw a tiny blur in a tan uniform flying through the air. Before anyone had time to comprehend what had happened, the tiny version of Hitler lay on the ground, bleeding.
Hitler!
Santa dropped to the ground and cradled his tiny head.
I'm sorry, Santa Claus.
It's okay, Hitler. You're gonna be all right.
Why, Santa? Why would you create bad little boys and girls? Why should Christmas be a day of punishment?
Hitler's tiny body went limp, and his eyes darkened. A single tear ran down Santa's cheek. Andre the Giant and Xerxes rushed to disarm the unconscious Ripley's executive.
Santa, help!
In all the commotion, Sean Astin had slipped away unnoticed and climbed the scaffold up to the rafter, where the large net containing the Punies was hung. He had Santa's magic sack tied around his waist and the legally binding contract clenched in his teeth as he made his way to the net. He reached into the magic sack and pulled out a small knife. He set the papers down on the rafter and began to saw it.
Sean Astin, stop this madness!
It didn't have to be like this, Santa.
You're right, Sean. I created the problem. I made Christmas into a zero-sum game with winners and losers. It was a mistake. In my obsession with rewarding the children I defined as good, I created the bad ones. Sean Astin, please listen to me. You deserve to be loved no matter what.
As Santa Claus pleaded with Sean Astin to stop, Randy Quaid began to climb the scaffold.
Randy, what the hell are you doing?
He's right, and I'm flip-flopping again.
Stay back, Randy. I'm warning you.
Sean Astin saw the rope faster, and it began to fray and loosen. The Punies screamed in horror. Randy Quaid stood balanced on the large metal beam, carefully walking toward Sean Astin.
Merry Christmas, everyone! Yeehaw!
Randy Quaid leapt forward into the air and grabbed the magic sack still tied to Sean Astin's waist, pulling him off the beam. They fell past the net of Punies and into the pit of lava.
No!
Oh my God, look!
Santa's magic toy sack was half submerged in the pit, the lava pouring into the opening.
That can't be good!
It's sucking up the lava!
The glowing molten rock churned and swirled as it spilled into the magic toy bag, like a glowing foam that began to cool and form a thick gray crust. The rope snapped and the Punies fell hard onto it. rolling safely onto the floor with nothing more than scrapes and bruises. Santa and the biggies ran to the net, freeing the Punies. The hardened lava rumbled, and the surface cracked.
We need to get out of here!
The floor buckled as the cooling lava pit began to sink into the ground, crumbling in on itself.
What's happening?
I don't know! Believe it or not, the magic toy sack hasn't ever started swallowing up magma before.
The floor was caving in. The ground underneath the building was disappearing into the sack. Santa and the Punies began to slide towards the sinkhole. The biggies were compelled to turn the teenies loose, and using their giant size, form a human chain to grab their smaller friends and pull them back.
Ooh, the contract. We have to save it.
The teenies clambered up the scaffold and onto the beam, clinging tightly as the whole building shook.
Santa, look!
There's no time! We need to get clear of this building!
They ran for the front entrance of the museum and out into the street where an already confused crowd now witnessed 6 tiny dead celebrities and 7 giants tumble out onto the sidewalk. Santa paused to look back and saw Bing Crosby hold up the stack of papers as they sat atop the rafter with the rest of the teenies celebrating. At that very moment, the magic toy sack somewhere deep below the surface of the earth reached its limit. There was the sound of an explosion somewhere far below them. Then a column of lava came rocketing up from the ground, engulfing the teenies. The force threw Santa 12 feet into the street as the lava shot 3,000 feet into the sky before it cooled, creating the world's largest town. Santa Claus, 6 Punies, and 7 biggies sat on the curb in front of where the Ripley's Believe It or Not museum once stood. On any other evening, they would have been an unusual sight even by Ripley's standards, but the firefighters and paramedics bustled about, paying them little mind. Santa Claus lit a cigarette, took a slow drag, and stared at the horizon as the sun set over the great square mountains.
Ho, ho, ho! You Punies are all right. Same goes for you, biggies!
Thanks, Santa.
Oh boy, this turned out to be one hell of a Christmas Eve.
Oh no, what time is it?
It's almost 6 in the evening.
Oh, sugar plums! The presents!
What is it? What's wrong?
It's the Santa Claus!
If I don't deliver every present by midnight, it won't matter that we defeated Ripley and the teenies. I'll be in violation of contract.
Mon Dieu! Père Noël, you'll be no more!
It takes me the whole 24 hours to deliver every present. How can I manage to do it in 1/8 of the time?
What if you divided the work 8 ways?
Santa turned to look back at the motley crew of biggies and punies. A wry grin stretched slowly across his face. In a flash, he ran to his sleigh and produced from his bag 7 giant red costumes, identical to his own. The biggie suited up as Santa pulled 7 bags from his bag. Then setting the bag on the ground, he lifted it open and shouted into it.
Yeah! Yeah!
8 more sleighs came racing out onto the street.
Santa, you brought too many sleighs.
No, John Belushi, this one is for you Punies. Use it to take care of any Christmas business you have to do this evening. I'll send for it on Boxing Day.
Oh, thank you, Santa. Good luck to you, sir.
Listen, piggies, we haven't much time. We only have 6 hours left to deliver a present to every boy and girl on Earth.
You mean every good boy and girl on Earth?
No, McGuire twins. I mean every child. Christmas is about loving and growing and healing. Real love isn't some means-tested bureaucratic system. It's free and available to everyone. Let the word go forth. From this day forward, every child should feel what it is to be loved on Christmas Day.
But Santa, won't that make it even harder for you to meet your deadline? Is that a risk you're willing to take?
That's a risk I have to take, Robert Wadlow. If the spirit of Christmas can't be for everyone, then what does it really mean? Now away!
And with that, Santa took off in his sleigh. The 7 biggie clauses were off right behind him, straight up into the sky, then away to every corner of the globe. The Punies clambered up into the remaining sleigh, and the Joker took the reins.
Should we head home?
And miss all the excitement? I think not. To the North Pole!
And step on it.
You got it! Here we go! Oh, jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. Sing it with me! The Batmobile lost a wheel and the Joker got away. Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin does ballet. Mr. Freeze cut the cheese and blew them all away. Merry Christmas, everyone!
The Punies arrived at the North Pole, and a chubby old elf with a gray beard and a Carhartt jacket waved them onto the landing pad.
The name's Tinkle. You must be the Punies. We owe you all a huge debt of gratitude. Come on in, I'll take you to the war room.
Tinkle led the Punies through a long glass corridor. All around them was a seemingly endless warehouse filled with conveyor belts and robotic forklifts zooming from one shelf to the next. Elves were stationed all around with headsets and tablets.
These days, being an elf has very little to do with making toys. North Pole is almost completely automated, and we pride ourselves on being the most efficient logistics operation on Earth. Through these doors is the nerve center of everything.
The Punies gasped at what they saw. A massive screen, 6 stories tall, displayed real-time coordinates for Santa, as well as each of the deputized biggies. There was a countdown clock displayed at the top of the screen and a progress bar. Currently, there were 4 hours and 27 minutes left to go, and the progress bar showed 20% of presents had been delivered. Around the massive screen, like the seats of an amphitheater, were rows of desks, thousands of them. At each one sat an elf sipping cocoa and quietly monitoring some minute detail of the overall system. The Punies took a seat on a very comfortable couch in one of the several small break areas and watched Christmas Eve play out in real time. A friendly elf came by with a cart of cookies and milk for them. They sat there for hours, cheering every time the progress bar jumped, reminiscing about the incredible day that they had had. The last hour came, and total present delivery stood at 83%.
Looks like this one's gonna be a buzzer beater, folks. Stay sharp, everyone. The world is depending on us.
Back in Los Angeles, Jasmine Bryant was putting the final presents under the tree. She went to the kitchen to make herself a cup of hot cocoa, stopping in the hall to look at the framed pictures of her family. There they were in 2019, all together in front of the Christmas tree wearing matching pajamas. Kobe had on a Santa hat. She wanted so badly to tell him how they all missed him and how proud he would be of the people they were growing up to be. The kettle began to whistle and she took it off the stove and poured water into her oversized bowl. The clock on the microwave showed 12:59. Almost Christmas, she thought to herself. Almost. She heard a noise from the living room and went to investigate. As she turned the corner from the dining room, she put one hand on her hip and cleared her throat. "Kobe Ulysses Bryant Jr., if you don't get back in that bed." Instead of a 4-year-old boy, there was a tall man in a red coat and hat crouched by the Christmas tree. She gasped and dropped her mug, shattering on the hardwood floor. The man jumped up, startled, and ran for the fireplace, but he didn't duck down as he ran inside. He simply ran straight forward, face first, into the fireplace mantel and fell backwards into 3 pieces. It was hard to tell exactly what was going on in the dim light of the Christmas tree, but she could almost swear she saw 3 tiny people who looked just like James Dean, Amy Winehouse, and the Joker scramble up the chimney. Unsure of what to do, she knelt down to pick up the broken mug and noticed the unfamiliar present under the tree. It was a small box wrapped in plain brown paper with a red bow. Jasmine was written on the tag. She heard the grandfather clock chime. It was midnight, technically Christmas morning. So she carefully untied the ribbon and unwrapped the box. Inside was a small gold whistle.
when you lose your love. And it makes your life turn cold when it tears you apart. Your heart and soul just can't go on. And love's alive to set you free. When it's gone, it's plain to see how even love can become evil weapon. When you lose control and you scare yourself sometimes, when you really don't care, yeah, there's your life is on the line. No one outside can understand. You take your life in your own hands. And even love can become a lethal weapon. Getting you, that's the last thing love was ever meant to do. You come a lethal weapon. You know there is no hope of breaking free. Not you suffer happily. That's when love itself becomes a lethal weapon.
As firemen clean up the site of the Ripley's Museum, a tiny arm shoots up from the smoldering rubble. Then another, and another, until there are 7. It's LeBron James's mansion. In the basement, we see Kurt Cobain, Fonzie, Anthony Bourdain, Nicolas Cage, Jesus, the Green Lantern, Joan of Arc, all playing ping pong and foosball and such.
You must be the normies. I am the Scarlet Pimpernel.
And I am Andre the Giant.
We are putting together a team.